I did get to play a match. It was me, Luis Hernandez, a guy from Brazil, a girl from Brazil versus like a German team with Lothar Matthäus, and they beat us. But Lothar Matthäus fouled me like flat out because I took the ball away from him, and he's like, "Get up! There's no crying in football." He really did say that. I was like,
and
I played with
correct me if
Crocs.
I'm wrong. So you were playing in your Crocs.
Yeah, I played with Crocs because they didn't tell me. They're like, "Hey, by the way, we're gonna play a game." I'm like, "Okay." I don't have anywhere. I'm like, "I'm just gonna stay on the sideline." He's like, "No, go in." I'm like, "I have Crocs."
Represento mi bandera, lo grito por donde quiera. Mexicano 100%, no existe ni una barrera. Mucho menos nos separa una frontera. Con papel o sin papeles, yo vivo a mi manera. No me importa en cualquier país. Si el cielo se pone negro, gris. Escuchando a Gerardo Ortiz, celebrando fiestas patrias con 2 Génesis. Cantamos mariachi y en acapela. Miramos a diario con los jefes la pinche novela.
Hola amigos de Pacho Via's RV, aquí es Zargento with another episode of Via's podcast. Wow, 2 back-to-back weeks, but there's a lot going on. We all couldn't fit it back. Along with me, of course, is a fabulous and new glamorized. What's going on, G?
Hi everyone. Yeah, we're going to get like really busy from now on. A lot of content, a lot of exciting news and things are coming up. So yes, let's do this.
Let's go, like my good friend and good people say out there in Via's land. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, G, last time we had, we did an interview with some folks that actually lived in Qatar. They're part of the Supreme Committee.
Mm-hmm.
And we learned a lot. So, a lot of folks were actually tuning in because they want to know what to expect, what to see, where to go. But today, as we promised, and we teased last episode, that we're going to have two members. We're getting 2 guests who actually were there recently, right, G?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Exciting. Like living the experience from very early on and knowing how to like travel around the city and what to eat and what to look at. And overall, like having that first approach to the Qatar experience, like that's awesome. So yeah, we have like 2 very special guests.
I might call them somewhat special.
Okay, yeah.
No, they're good friends of the program. We've had them on before. And again, I think it's actually better to have, we had the Supreme Committee guests telling us, and a lot of people were like, yeah, but they're probably just saying, whatever. You know what? Hey, we're going to add another layer, and we're going to bring folks that we know and that were there recently to give us their experience. We'll also talk about the World Cup qualifier draw. Finally made it. They, what happened in the draw, what they were actually there, right? So talk about that experience. And then also talk about the upcoming matches, because there are going to be several here in the States, next Orlando. Try to give you as much information that we have real time. And then, of course, we'll wrap it up with our post or social media post of the week. So with that, let's go ahead and bring our guest. G, who do we have? And who are we bringing onto the stage?
I don't know. Okay, pick number 1. Again, I think it's his 3rd time here. I don't know, by popular demand. And he's like officially an influencer right now. And you should look up all of his content. Very exciting. Please welcome the one and only Wiso Vázquez.
Officially an influencer. What?
Officially an influencer. Like, you're like posing with your tuxedo and the red carpet and the guitars. Right?
Influencers have a bad name, so I'll stick to content.
What's wrong with influencer? What's wrong with that?
Everybody makes there are like accounts that's like, look at all these influencers. Like
okay, cut. Content creator.
Content creator, maybe.
I'm sorry.
Cool. No.
Oh my God.
A pleasure to be here. A pleasure to be in the presence of both of you who do an amazing job. Z, we were just in Mexico City having the time of our lives and watching Mexico not be able to score, and got to finally meet, G, that boot girl. So yes, so I'm in awe in the presence of both of you once again, and now I'm part of this podcast again. So yes, thank you.
So correction and content.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
You have to bleep me, and like I want to know over, like content creator.
Your makeup department, because you, Z, and also G, who looks flawless. I was thinking, like, can we get that? In the green room, there was no makeup department for me. But
in the green room, and he's not an influencer. Okay.
Yeah,
well,
he's not.
Your green room. Anyway,
it's funny because when you were saying he was an influencer, I can tell we said going like,
okay.
He's like, whatever, okay. I could totally see him getting all like, okay. All right. Who else do we have in store, G? I mean, because Wiso's not it. We're gonna add to the celebrity status here, another level. What do we have?
Okay, so from the media side, from the like very, I don't want to say influencer because he's gonna come for me too. So I just want to say that he's a very, so yeah, TV personality. Is that okay? Is that okay?
There you go.
If you think Gabby's the influencer, I mean,
Oh my God. Okay, stop it. Stop it. Carlos Yustis, hi, please come here, please.
I'm just enjoying the banter of the content creation. I mean,
oh my gosh. I'm sorry.
I think I messed up the intro for Carlos Yustis. When he joins, it should be more like,
there you go. Yes.
How are you guys? How are you guys? Really excited to be here. I mean, for us particularly, it's really exciting the fact that we're the official broadcasters for the World Cup in Spanish and in the US. So it's not just being there. It's the responsibility of having our second World Cup. 2 out of the 3 that we still have on deck. The 2026 will still be with us, but really excited for what is to come. What we have on deck. There's still a lot of things that are getting hashed out on who's going to be our team of analysts. But there's some big names out there that you really, really, really enjoy. I mean, we don't have a full list, but it's going to be a great World Cup for us.
Would it potentially be world-class influencer Wiso Vasquez in that list?
I wouldn't be surprised. It's the first time I ever actually know somebody who's walking the red carpet that I'm not like interviewing, but I'm friends with. So to me, it was a big plus there. It's like, wait, I'm friends with somebody who's walking the red carpet, not just like, hey, would you mind talking to me?
So he is an influencer. He is.
Oh,
okay.
No.
That's it.
So cool. Telemundo having the rights. It's you guys do such a great job, and especially in Espanol, because I don't remember. Yeah, it's always Andres Cantor, so I always heard his World Cup voice. So that's pretty cool.
Well, I remember last time we had Carlos the first time. He did, I remember you telling us a story when you actually did broadcast or did do play-by-play for some of the like not the random teams, but not the most well-popular teams, and you were just like in the middle of the night. So that was a cool story. Knowing when you started to where you're at now, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I still can't believe it. It will be my second World Cup, which is also something I like never thought about. Oddly enough, 4 years ago, I was following Argentina. I was a field reporter for Argentina. I spent all 40 days that I was in Russia with Argentina, following Messi and company. So this one might be a little different. I think I'm gonna be with somebody else. I still not confirmed, but hopefully it'll be good.
Nice. Well, good luck. Yeah, good news. So, let's talk about. We have a lot to discuss. First of all, again, both of you, if you don't know, we already talked about it. You were both in Qatar not that long ago, maybe about a week ago or so. Definitely want to hear your perspective. Again, it's my understanding, Wiso, you were there first. You flew out there first, and then Carlos, you went a few days later. If my timelines and my stalking is accurate. Big fans of you, by the way. I follow you and love everything you do. All right, so Wiso, tell us about your journey, man. I'm going to show some pictures up as well as you're going and telling us your journey.
Yes.
The influencer.
I got a chance I got a chance to go to Qatar, which is really cool. Is the opportunity to come. They invited 35 different types of fans, content creator, podcasters. Some of them are like influencers. And when I say like there's influencers, there's people that have like millions of followers. I don't have millions. So I was on the other side. There were a couple people from England that were podcasters. They podcast about West Ham. So I really think they took like a variety of people, and they chose me for the work that I've done with the Mex Nation, the work that I've done with Mexican Soccer Show. My socials. You could see I've attended World Cups, and here are some pretty cool pictures that were leaked to Z. Exclusive that these were not published anywhere, but yeah. And when I got the news, hey, come represent Mexico and represent specifically the Mexicans in the United States, right? So I got to go and talk to the organizers for the World Cup, questions that, you know, we have, I mean, and got to sit down and ask, you know, this is what we're worried about. This is what we want to do. This is what we came here for, and come back and, you know, inform people. And yeah, so I had the time of my life getting there, doing all the things that they took us to all these stadiums and things to do, but mostly represent Mexico and ask questions and be with other fans from all over the world that I've met. The super fans, which are really cool crowd of like the caramelos, right? And there's one, you know, Pulpito, he's from Colombia. Mama Joy, she's from South Africa. There's a guy from Tunisia who doesn't speak any English or Spanish, and he was there with us. And these guys are like the life. Everywhere they go, they're singing, and people take pictures of them. And it's crazy that they all know each other. And so anytime you see, I know people, you know, say Caramelo, why is he there all the time? They network around, and you know, and they'll stay at each other's houses if they're flying somewhere. So they all know each other. There's a little network of like super fans, and people love it. People eat it up. So I had an amazing time, and then it ended with the draw. And I'm sure we're going to talk about it. So lots of fun.
That's cool, man. I mean, definitely you got some good videos. I mean, I also saw some of your TikToks. You kind of walked through your day, or day one. This is what I experienced, and it was really cool to get those, you know, quick little just stories, right, or vignettes of what you were working on. I'll tell you right now, you know, you're around social media influencers when there is a presence of whatever tomorrow. What's his name?
Whatever tomorrow.
That guy's an influencer. That guy's an influencer.
And he was there, right?
Here's how we know I'm not an influencer. There was an influencer cup of it at the stadium where they brought like the best influence from all over the world. I wasn't even invited. So from Mexico,
not letting this go. He's not letting this go.
It was whatever tomorrow. I got to talk to the guy, and I think we won. I think he won because it was like a little futbolito.
In the defense of whoever played, the F2 were playing. I mean, if you have the F2 if you guys never follow the F2 is these two guys who do this crazy stuff. They play. A lot of times they ask them why they didn't become professionals. They're just because they say that they're not fit enough to actually play it, but their touch is immaculate. Like they've done stuff with Gareth Bale and Karim Benzema and Olivier Giroud, and they're crazy. So if you have them on your team, most likely it's gonna go well.
Are they? I mean, let me understand. I'm not fairly familiar with them, Carlos. But when you were saying that, I was picturing. So are they like the Harlem Globetrotters of soccer?
Basically, and they get invited. They've done stuff with Real Madrid, with Barcelona, Tottenham, Arsenal, Manchester United. Like, and I think they actually have a sponsor with Adidas. So you know, these guys are top notch. So yeah, no wonder they won.
I did get to play a match. It was me, Luis Hernandez, a guy from Brazil, a girl from Brazil, versus like a German team with Lothar Matthäus, and they beat us. But Lothar Matthäus fouled me like flat out because I took the ball away from him, and he's like, "Get up! There's no crying in football." He really did say that. Awesome.
And
I played with
correct me if I'm wrong. So you were playing in your Crocs.
Yeah, I played with Crocs. They didn't tell me. They're like, "Hey, by the way, we're gonna play a game." I'm like, "Okay." I don't have anywhere. I'm like, "I'm just gonna stay on the sideline." He's like, "No, go in." I'm like, "I have Crocs." But I played anyway. It was cool. It was awesome, even though we lost.
Nobody gave you a hard time at all? Any of the players?
Nobody cared. Nobody cared.
Awesome. All right. Well, we'll take a pause there. So thank you, Wiso. I appreciate you telling us, you know, your journey leading up to it. I still want to talk more about some of the things you experienced, some of the people that you of course crossed paths with. But let's go to Yustis now. So Yustis, you went a few days later. Again, it was on assignment. Tell us about your journey leading up to when you finally saw Mr. Wiso on the red carpet.
Well, I actually, you know, I'm going to spend 45 days for the World Cup once it comes around. We're going to be flying a couple days early and then staying all the way till the final, which to me is really exciting because last time I didn't get to the second round. But this time around, since I only flew for that, I was there for a total of 49 hours. And I was on a plane for 34 hours, so I didn't get to see much of anything. But you obviously get to, you know, you have meetings with the broadcaster meetings, things that gear up on how things are going to be done. One of the things that I really caught my attention is that this time around they're fighting a lot more video and things for you to promote the World Cup. Usually those things are a little more, you know, tight. So there's going to be a lot of things that you're going to be seeing on content creation on part of the actual World Cup committee. And then my first assignment, believe it or not, was to play soccer. Like, they literally took me because every time there's a FIFA Congress, we obviously went to the Congress. I think out of the 3 or 4 congresses I've done, this one was a little more tense because of some of the topics that were, debated and talked about. But after the Congress, they always have a tournament. And the way that tournament works is that FIFA makes a team, and then each confederation makes a team. So there's a team for CONCACAF, there's a team for CONMEBOL, there's a team for UEFA, so on and so forth. And this time around, they actually did one for the sponsors and one for the broadcasters. They divide you into groups and you play a tournament. And it's games of 12 minutes. So I literally flew in just to do that. So my first day was literally going in the morning, shooting something real quick, looking at what happened on the draw, and then they assigned me on the pink team. That was the broadcaster team, and you see that I had Rafa van der Vaart and Thiago Mendes on my team. I think Steven Pleticosa was also on our team. He was playing forward, not defender, because Nico Cantor was my goalkeeper. And we played. I think our group was the organizing committee from Qatar, Africa, and CONMEBOL. And I mean, it's just a little tough when in CONMEBOL you have Neri Pumpido as the goalkeeper, then Antonio Valencia was the defender, then you have Pupi Zanetti, Diego Forlán, and Bebeto on the same team, and you're playing against them. So overall, that day was a great experience. I've never thought. I mean, my dreams when I was playing or trying to make it. One day I said I might be able to get to that level. I didn't, but the fact that I can play with these stars and just be unknown, like even the fact that I was marking Forlán or marking Zanetti, and Zanetti was like blowing past me. It was a great experience. Then we had a dinner where I got to chat with them a little bit, also what their expectations in the World Cup. And I think most of us realize that, or are agreeing on the fact that it's going to be a very good World Cup, especially level wise, because the fact that they move it to November helps the players physically. Most of the times when the World Cups are in the summer, they come from their performance curve is always going up to try to finish as strong as they can in April, May, so they can win the tournaments or whatever they're playing for. And then there's the recovery phase before going into preseason. And usually in that space is where the international tournaments happen. This one, it's the complete opposite. When the performance curve is actually going up and it's about to reach their peak in like January, February, they're going to have the World Cup. So I think a lot of us agree that playing wise is probably going to be one of the best World Cups we've seen. The fact that there's not going to be a lot of traveling is going to help the teams a lot on recovery and things like that, because the furthest stadium one from the other is 5 hours away in a car. So all those things make it for an exciting World Cup, and hopefully that it lives up to the expectation.
The only thing I'm hoping, based on your analysis there, Carlos, I just hope that Messi is not at his peak. He's kind of more.
But we only see him one game, so it's not that bad.
That we'll talk more about that here in a second. All right. So you both were out there again, Carlos. That was awesome for your first assignment. I mean, going and playing, but I don't know about you, G, but I'm finding out that we're around two gentlemen that got to play with star athletes, and they both lost. What the heck?
I mean, yo estaría feliz si pierdo anyway. I mean, just the experience of playing with them, right?
Yeah, just to give you a hint, the team who won, and I'm not gonna say which team won, just to keep it civil, but the team who won had on their team Iker Casillas, Marco Materazzi, Javier Mascherano, Andrea Pirlo, and Didier Drogba. Like, if I got those on my team, there might be a chance I could have won a couple of games, but I didn't.
I mean, that's a team you play like on FIFA for like one of those games, and you have a super team right there. Yeah, it's crazy.
Did you find Diego Forlán being like smaller than you thought? Because I always thought he was like really tall.
I fortunately got to meet Diego in Russia, and we worked together. Diego was part of our commentator group for the FIFA World Cup in Russia. So actually, I think one of the advantages of him knowing me was that he didn't smoke me as bad as I thought he would, because he was like, "Oh, I know Carlitos. He'll be fine." So there was a ball that he tried to do something really fancy. I took it away, and he didn't chase me down. And I know he would have easily come and like take me down, and he let me go. So
that's
I appreciate Diego Forlán for that.
Now, Wiso, I know that you met several other star athletes, past, present, and what have you. There's a picture that you shared of one that you bumped into, and it's not I guess he was maybe a player, but he was definitely a coach. Tell us about this encounter.
Bora he's hilarious. Bora lives in Qatar, and he's there. He was there for the flag raising ceremony, where when Mexico qualified on that Wednesday, there was a little ceremony there for all of for the fans that were there in Qatar, and Bora showed up to be there. Obviously, if you remember Bora in 1986, and he I think took Costa Rica in 1990, the U.S. in 94. I think did he take Korea? I think it was. Anyway,
didn't he take China to his first World Cup?
China, my bad. Yeah, China to a World Cup. I think even Bosnia in there. Anyways, he's taken to lots of teams to the World Cup, and he was there to kind of talk about Mexico and the U.S. making there. But he is hilarious. He's such a fun individual out there. We were laughing because a reporter was asking us questions at the same time and talking about Mexico. But he's really he won't say what's his favorite team, so he always dances around it because he has so many fans everywhere. But he told me he really liked Mexico. Then I saw him again after the draw, and he's always funny. And I'll tell you, he's always like, if Mexico le pone huevos, ganamos la copa. Like, he's that guy, right? He's that guy. So really awesome. And it's funny that he remembered me for the draw, because we were kind of together in this kind of like press over there at the flag raising ceremony.
That is so cool, man. So that's amazing. The fact that you got to be there. And I mean, I just gotta call out that Wiso just didn't hold back. I mean, look at that laugh. I mean, that talk about whatever he said was like, oh my goodness. I mean, seriously, he's fanboying to whatever happened.
We're laughing. I got some comments taken to me and DMing me about the hat choices, but of why I would be wearing that kind of. And it was a friend that was there. If you see, I think you're able to see Caramelo on the left, like his hat up there. I had a sombrero and I gave it to my friend Mercedes, because she didn't have a hat and she had this one. So I was like, let's switch. So we switched over, and I was kind of I was doing like a norteño kind of Monterrey type of look with that. So it worked. It worked. Plus, it was really hot. Carlos, you were there. Like, the sun was beating, and I was like, I'm wearing a hat.
So let's talk about that real quick. So we're in Arizona, dude. We know hot.
Okay, wasn't that hot?
To compare the difference.
No, the funny thing is that we go, right? So everyone's like, look at the desert, look at the dunes, look how hot it was. And I'm like, this is like my outside backyard. It really did. Like, going into one of the far stadium, I forgot the name of it, the Albite Stadium, which is the farthest away, almost 45 minutes to an hour. I honestly thought we were, and I've driven to Mexico, I've driven to Mazatlan. I really thought we were like in Sinaloa, because like it just looked desert, nowhere else. And then that there's a coast over there with these highways that are new. And I was like, this is kind of like, northern Mexico almost. And then if you go to San Diego, they have the dunes, right? Z? You have those big giant dunes. So I wasn't like, oh my gosh, sand dunes. Literally like an hour away from here, we have giant sand dunes. So to me, the desert, I live here, and it's even almost the same old like beige look, light brown look on all the, on some of the architecture. And I was like, this is kind of like Casa Grande over here in Arizona. But it was really cool to see. Obviously, it gets really, really hot in the summer. That there's like work stops, or people are only working from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. like their shifts. But I was there. It was chilly. It was chilly at night. It was a little bit warm when we were in that flag racing, because we were in the sun all day. But outside of that, it looked like the temperatures in November are going to be cold, Carlos. No, like, we're going to be cold. It's going to be one of the coldest World Cups.
Yeah, I think that was a good call on their part. The first day before I played, I went out there in the same right where Wiso was. The area is called Corniche. Right in front of one of the government palaces, because there's no other way to put it. And he faces the water, and I felt the same. I felt it was hot, but it wasn't like scorching hot, like desert hot, or at least not at that temperature. And then when I saw how kind of that levels up or levels down by the end or the beginning of the winter, it seems like it's going to be really nice. Like, the weather is going to be really nice. Obviously, being a desert, the extremes are very noticeable. So whatever temperatures in the morning is definitely not going to be at night. That it will be the complete opposite. And even the day, like when I was playing, it was beautiful. It was a night. The lights were on, and we had to be in the 60s. So yeah. I think it's going to be. And also remember that most of the stadiums are actually air conditioned. So they have everything put into place. So everything works out. I guess they're the only concerns, like in the fan fest, if you spend a lot of time in the sun, like they're might want to take care of yourself, but that's about it.
Rostov was hot in Russia, like 100 degrees more. Like that was one of the hottest places. I'm like, why? It's so hot.
If I mean, we didn't have fans, but Tokyo was like 115 degrees, 104 degrees. Obviously, there wasn't fans, and they didn't have to deal with that. But Tokyo was significantly hot. Summers in Japan are very, very hot.
Wow. Okay. Well, it's good to know. Again, that's not going to be the weather like, but you're already saying it. Just be prepared for cooler weather when you go in November.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool.
Yeah. So which is I mean, hey, I mean that's not bad. And a lot of the stadium, or all the stadiums, right, were open, right? They're open air. So let's actually talk about the stadium. So how many stadiums did you get to see in person? I know that, I think you actually had to play in one. You got to see 0, Carlos? Really? What did you play? Like in the backyard or something?
No, outside. I remember the name of the stadium, but the main stadium in Doha. Outside, they were telling me like 5 years ago, they built this complex. It's called the. I remember this. The Sphere. I think it's called the Sphere. And they build these fields, and it's like 10, 15 fields. They're all natural grass. There's an indoor field for the summer. Kind of, it looks a little bit where England trains. It looks a lot like St. George. And it's just a sports complex, and they built it around the World Cup. So it's kind of like a satellite place, and that's where we ended up playing. But I didn't personally get to go to the stadiums. I know our crew went and visited all of them. You still need to see positions and where things are going to be. So they were there. But again, like since I was there for 48 hours, I didn't see any of the stadium.
Yep. Wiso, I know you saw one. I think you saw the container one, right?
Yes. 9. Oh, I always forget. 974. Yeah. 974 different containers. Is that's what we named it? Or like, why is it called 974? Because there's 974 containers.
They picked 974 containers because 974 is a code for Qatar on the telephone.
Got it. There you go.
If you call Qatar, the country code is 974. So they decided to put 974 containers to make a homage or to their own number.
Yeah.
I've been studying.
No, Carlos,
we took a boat to it, which just kind of on the coast, right? We just went like, you don't need a boat to go there, but we took a boat from the center to it. Yeah. And we didn't know that's where Mexico's going to play, right? Mexico was going to play Poland there. And it really is like 974 containers put together strategically. Obviously there's other stuff that goes on it, and the whole stadium is like that. Even inside, I got to go to the locker room. It's all like containers. That one, yeah, no, wait, that's Al Bayt Stadium. Those are the dressing rooms in Al Bayt stadiums. But yeah, it was really cool. The cool things about most of these stadiums is that after the World Cup, they're gonna take the top off and donate it to Africa. I think one of them was this one right here. Al Bayt Stadium is like a giant tent, like a huge tent.
Is that the one that looks like a tiramisu that I mentioned before? Kind of like a tiramisu dessert, kind of layered.
Is that no, I don't think this one is. And then Lusail Stadium, which is like the main stadium, also 80,000 is gonna that one's gonna stay there. The big one, I got to go there. And there's one more where we went to a museum, which is really cool next to the stadium, which is the History of Sports Museum. It really is. It takes you about where almost all sports kind of came from. And that was right next to the stadium. I don't remember which stadium it was, but it was Khalifa. It was Al Khalifa Stadium. So yeah, so the stadiums are pretty cool. Little different is that there's only one that's 80,000. Every other stadium is around 40,000. So it's gonna be a World Cup where you're not gonna have like these huge stadiums, where people, because again, it's only in one city. So talking about all the fans that are going, it's gonna be a different type of World Cup where it's not like you can just take off and just go into the atmosphere, because they don't want, they want to make sure everyone has a room to where to stay in. They want to make sure everyone has a They want accommodations to make sure to go to people that are going to stadiums. So if you're planning on like, hey, I'm just going to go there, I don't have a ticket, I don't have a room, you're going to need a lot more than it was in Russia. They try to do that in Russia, and it didn't matter. Just as long as you got there and you'll figure out how to get a stadium and sleep in the park, that's going to be different in Doha because everything will be monitored from your visa. In order for you to get your visa, you're going to need to get your, your ticket, and you need to get your hotel. And so they want to monitor everything, but so there's not going to be a ton of people because it's just one city. The first time the World Cup is in just one place, I believe. So you can go to 2 different matches in one day, and you can.
Yeah, Carlos, anything on your end that you also noticed? So now that we're talking about that, what's going to be different about this World Cup that you're already seeing? So we talked about, the weather, the time of the year, the stadiums. I love the fact that they're already thinking about what they're going to do with them next, because we tend to see, right, these stadiums get built and then they kind of just fall apart, right? Like South Africa, right?
Yeah, I think that was the last. I mean, Brazil kind of like had the same stadiums, and I think only one of them really got abandoned because the whole thing that happened with Maracanã was a political thing that really didn't have much to do with the stadium. But after that, at least Russia, I remember I went to Nizhny Novgorod where Argentina played Croatia, and that was a modular stadium. So it's part of the idea of some of these things are usually to dismantle them. It's like, we're going to build these stadiums and dismantle it. Tokyo did the same with the Olympics. Like, we're going to build these things. They're going to be modular, and it's like Lego pieces. They just take it apart and they ship it if they need it somewhere else or to become something else. Yeah. I think one of the things that I really noticed or that it's going to be very different. First, the influx of fans, how that's going to be done. Some people were telling me that there's a chance some fans will actually stay in Dubai. Dubai is a 30-minute flight from Doha. So they'll fly to Dubai, do everything over there, and then just fly for the day of the game, be there for the game, and then come back. So I think a little bit of the influx and the color of the people might look a little different than other World Cups. Not so much inside the stadium, not so much for the games, but just like the satellite things that happen around are not going to be the same as we've seen in other World Cups. Yeah. And the flavor might not be so lost because the difference is that even though it's going to be reduced, everybody's
going to be
there. The distance is so small that you still be able to see it. Because if they had the same kind of control in a bigger space like Russia was, where you could fly from one city to the other and it was like a 5-hour flight, it will kind of wash out a little bit. But here, I think because of the concentration of people, it's going to be in, and there's a lot of infrastructure that they're building specifically for these things. So it'll be more of there's going to be a lot of test run of some of these things when people start getting there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And again, it seems like this, you being out there this past few weeks was kind of like they're also a mini test run for them, right? To kind of see how things are going to, I know it wasn't a lot of people they invited. It was a select few, but at least it's an opportunity to get your impressions, kind of see how, just testing the waters. I imagine there's going to be a lot of that leading up to it, like you said, Carlos.
I'm very curious about something. I'm sorry. And I think a lot of people are going to be curious about this, the atmosphere. Like when we had the interview with Isabel and Yesenia, something that came up with was the fact that Qatar is a country where like maybe women are like, you know what I'm saying? Like what was that when you were there, Wiso?
I think
go ahead, Carlos.
Well, no, they ask you. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Look, yeah, I think it's a valid concern. I think they know that, as far as when we were talking to the organizers, it's a World Cup is when the World Cup starts, just so many people that are going to be there. I feel like the atmosphere is going to be like other World Cups. Even when our little group of 20 people who were women who were part, all over the world, when we would go to like these places where, like the markets, it all of a sudden we became like, there's all these people from all over the world that are here and they're taking pictures with us. Women are either in traditional headdresses over there. There's the girl from Brazil, you still have to be modest, but it wasn't like she had to cover up or anything like that because they knew tourists are coming in, and it's going to be a culture shock for both.
Yeah.
But it is something that people are questioning. So I feel like once the World Cup starts, when everybody's there from around the world, I feel like the games are about to start. Everybody's going to be excited. We kind of saw that in the World Cup draw. Like, it wasn't like I was in another part of the world when we're at the World Cup draw with the excitement that's there and everybody's waiting to see who we're going to play. Like, you forgot that you might be in a country where, yes, it's a little different. You have to wear a certain type of clothing. You can't be full on, mostly, partying until 6 o'clock in the morning. And yeah, those are questions that we raised too. We're like, hey, we don't go to bed at midnight at 2 o'clock like they do here. Like, what are we going to do until 6 a.m.? How are you going to have us out and, in the parks or celebrating? And it's like, well, you're coming into a different type of the world, and we have to respect each other. And that comes from both sides. We have to respect them, and they have to respect us, because, somos bien desmadrosos, we're going to be in there. So I'm sure there's going to be a ton of be like, you can't do that here. And how are they going to police it? I don't know, Carlos. What do you think?
Yeah, I think for whoever is planning on going, I think what Wiso said, it is a very conservative country in a lot of senses. There's a lot of other things that are culturally way different to how we're used to them, and I think they have enough information out there, especially from the organizing committee and from FIFA in general, on kind of like standard rules for you to know and to follow. And it's there's going to be also a little bit of leniency from the organizing committee and from the country to whoever comes, because they know you're not going to adapt to those things like right away. And there'll be a lot of communication in maybe what Wiso was saying, like, hey, listen, like we do this thing here like this, like please do this or do that. And I think it's I think it's going to be a good trial of respect of your culture is like this, and I need to kind of like abide to it. But at the same time, you have to be lenient enough to understand that I'm here just for a couple of things, like for a couple of days for a party of World Soccer. And you also have to adapt to that. So I think there's going to be a lot of that. There's going to be some clashes, more likely in certain things. Depends on how crazy you take it. But I think it's part of also being informed. So on your part, like learn as much as you can. There's certain things, especially out of respect, just with people that had nothing to do with the laws on how they can treat other people. It's just certain things on their culture, and even it happened to us when we went to Japan. Like Asia in general has a very different culture. You go to Japan, there's certain things that they do in a certain way, and they expect you to know those things because they're just like the bare minimum that you can do. So here's the same. There's a bare minimum. At least learn the bare minimum so you can have a better experience.
Yeah.
One of the biggest questions that I got, and believe me, we asked, is is there alcohol? Like, I've gotten so many messages like, so are we gonna be able to drink? Like, seriously, it's a concern. And the answer is yes. I mean, there's gonna be places where you can't. It's not like there's liquor stores everywhere. It's not like there's gonna be grocery stores where you can buy alcohol, but there will be opportunities in the fan fest, all the hotels. There's certain areas where you can. And it's not like in the US, you can't just be out drinking out in public. There's certain places. Just take out bars and groceries and hotels. There's clubs. At my hotel, there was like a nightclub on the second floor that was, I'm like, hey, I'm trying to go to bed here because I got to wake up at 7 and I could hear the bass music. So and even talking to people that live in Qatar, my ignorant self, so I'm like, well, so what do you guys do here? And they're like, oh, we go out, there's tons of places. I can tell you a ton of places where we go and have fun with friends. And they're our videographer, he's actually from Mexico, and he's been living there for a year, and he's like, I have fun all the time over the weekend. So it's not this conservative everything, everyone doesn't have fun. It's just different, and their customs and cultural differences that we have to learn, and you have to respect. And believe me, as much as you are, you're respecting their culture, they're looking at yours and being like, that's great. You coming out with a sombrero. Oh my gosh, everyone loves it. And it's so cool for people to be like, let me borrow, let me have it. Let me take a picture on it. And are you from Mexico? Do you sing? It's like the question that I got. I'm like, no.
And the answer is yes. We still sing.
And then it's like,
he does? He does?
The answer is always yes. Yeah. Now, how well you sing, that's a whole different conversation.
Okay, I need proof.
I know, we still can sing. He can belt it out. We have video of him in karaoke out there.
Sue, Canada always comes back. But you know, before you go, check to see what it is, but there are some hard questions that I asked. I'm like, hey, look, public display of affection, you know, they don't like that. You can't just like make out with your wife, with your girlfriend, with your boyfriend, whomever in public.
That's like in our DNA as Mexicanos, man.
And they're like, I'm like, you're gonna have to respect that. So, you know, be careful. Are they gonna be policing? You just kissed your boyfriend, go to jail? No, right? But if you're causing a scene, I've seen those videos from Russia, you know, on the internet, like of all the crazy parties till 6 a.m. That's gonna be different. Is there still gonna be people? I think we're known that in every World Cups, un mexicano hace algo that like sparks. You know, media all over the world.
Like the gentleman who got lost with his buddies for how many days, and then
no. These are like, if you remember, Carlos, you know what I'm talking about. I think
the guy who peed on the
on the flame, which is Mexico in 2014
of the unknown soldier. Yeah.
Of the unknown soldier in 2014, the guy that jumped off the cruise liner and we never found him again. Right. And then I believe in 2002, the train that has never stopped. One of un Mexicano pulled the emergency, and for the first time in like, I don't know, some like 10, 20, 30
like
years.
It reminds me of like when you go to like a factory and it says, you know, X many days without an incident. And
yes.
Because of
seriously, there's a record.
Zero.
There's a record that like some drunk Mexican guy like went, all right, I'll stop it, and he stopped it. Let's not be known for something. So I don't know what's.
Let's just hope that trend doesn't continue in Qatar. All right. Well,
another question.
Go ahead.
Food. Food.
Yeah. What did you guys eat? Don't tell me you ate. Don't tell me you ate a taco and a burger, please. Like...
No. I'm a vegetarian, so I was in heaven. There was so much food that was there. So from Indian food, everything around it, Arabic, like this, it was great. There's so much that we had. But then they're big meat eaters. Like they have like their form of carne asada, and all of these restaurants we went, like these huge like roasting lambs, and food is you know, if you like meat, if you don't, I think it's a brace. And it's also so new that you saw and there's a McDonald's right next to the Al Bayt Stadium, like right next to it. I mean, you're gonna get to go and get your quarter pounder and then go to a game. And I'm like, how are they gonna manage that? So yeah, here's the question of the is there a Denny's? Because that's what G likes, is Denny's. Like when she goes any country. I'm pretty sure there was a Target. Like it's a brand new city that I saw. Carlos, you could buy a car at the airport. Like, yes, there was like a dealership inside the airport, and then a Mac store. Like,
a BMW and Mercedes dealership, nonetheless.
Not like a Kia. Like
no.
Imagine going
to 3 Series.
And my mentality is this: hey, you know what? I got to get to my destination in Europe, but there's a car. I'm just gonna go buy a car before I get into a plane.
You know what? So, it's like, I have 5. I think I want to get the lucky 6. You know what? I have 6. Let me get 7.
I mean, one of the things that it's also part of like knowing where you're going. Qatar is the biggest supplier of natural gas in the world.
Gas.
It's in the 16th country that produces the most oil. So it is a country that has a lot of money. And you can see it in their architecture and in the way the constructions, like you feel that. So like that, like food, that's the least of your concerns. Everything, you can find everything from the market to like a 5-star, 7-star experience. So, yes. and obviously there's
like another level, right?
Yeah.
I lost 13 pounds in Russia. Like Rostov and where we were at, I could not find somewhere to eat after like 11 p.m. I'm like, so believe me, it was
that happened to me in France. The weirdest thing we had. It was the day before the final of the U.S. was playing the Netherlands for the Women's World Cup, and we planned, let's go to dinner before the final, right? Let's celebrate that it's the end of our broadcast. We're gonna find a place to eat and this and that. We'll go as a team, and it was Ana Yurka, Carlota Bismanos, all these people. And it's past 9 o'clock and everything's closed. We end up going to McDonald's because it was the only thing that was open.
Wow, that's crazy.
This is kind of hold on really quick story. This is kind of in the cultural and food type of thing. Caramelo, Hector, he stayed 3 days after we left in the draw, which we left Friday. He's like, I'm gonna stay a couple days to network because he like, I might need a place to stay. Who can I talk to? Like, this is the kind of guy he is. He likes to network and be there and know he's there. Ramadan started on Saturday, which for those who don't know, Ramadan, they're fast through until 10 p.m. And he tells me, I just realized it's Ramadan and there's nothing open. Like everything closes in the whole city of Doha. So he's like, what am I going to do for the next 3 days? Nothing is open. Nobody, grants you anywhere. You can't it's a ghost town. And that's what they say until 10 p.m., which is have these huge celebrations at 10 p.m. that you can go to a hotel or restaurant or whatever. But those are the things that, going in there, knowing the culture is, maybe he's like, what am I going to eat? And so it was pretty funny to know that.
I can imagine there's like a dealer out there with the coat going, I got some cuts.
Until I think it's a month long. It's a month-long celebration. So yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. All right, well, cool. Let's talk about the draw. Let's talk about the next year topic. So you were there, Wiso, Yustis as well. Again, I guess the question is, whenever you're on carpet, what were you wearing? What were you wearing, Wiso?
I was wearing Hugo Boss with a they sent me an invite. Like, first of all, FIFA sends you this, by the way. You get to go, and I'm sorry, Carlos, like, you are going to the World Cup draw. Send everything about you. Like, what was your first pet's name? And we need to do a background check. Have you been vaccinated? When? Who was it? It's like, I felt like there's a huge question there.
What was the type of the person who gave it to you? Like,
I'm not kidding. Like, they wanted everything. You're going to a FIFA official event, and then it said, make sure it's it's formal. It is flat out formal. You cannot wear anything that's not like you can't wear a sombrero or nothing. Like, they flat out told you not to. And then they checked like 3 days before, can you please send us a picture of what you're wearing? And I was like, what are you gonna put my like tux on? So I literally like looked up black tux, black tie, white shirt. Here you go. And I sent him a picture of some other like model, right? Tell me Caramelo brought his sombrero. He brought his jersey. He's like, I don't care, I'm bringing mine. And you know what? He did. So cool to him. It was such an amazing experience being there. I wasn't as hyped to the World Cup yet. I'm like, it's 7 months. But when I got in, saw the World Cup trophy, the new ball, all the players that are around, and then the production, it was really, really cool to see. And then, obviously waiting until Mexico was drawn. You can see my little pin right there that I wore from Mexico. But yeah, so it was awesome.
Tell me about those seats. I mean, those seats look like freaking they look comfortable. First of all,
those are like that's where the federation coaches and very, very important people were. So I moved up to the front just to take the picture, but those are not my seat. I was in the back. I think, yeah, I was a little bit more into the back.
So you had
those are like
seats. Those, yeah, they look freaking fancy. All right,
Luis Hernandez was over there.
Tell us about your experience in the draw. What did you see from your perspective besides Wiso?
Well, exactly. Usually I come through a back entrance really, really early. I got there like at noon, I think, and the draw was, well, actually, I got there at 3 and the draw was at 7. They take you through a separate entrance. They check everything, your equipment, whatnot. I mean, this time around, I was actually just with whoever was covering as talent, so I didn't have to go through the whole security protocol of the cameras and everything that's there. Then you go to the media center, and the media center we had our last rundown meeting, see how we're gonna do the show. I went to the truck to pick up a couple of stuff because then we had to go to I was in charge of the red carpet, so you go to the red carpet and you're in this little like square that you can like stand. Funny enough, I was standing right next to, I think it was Bein Sports, which is the actual Al Jazeera, conglomerate in Dubai. I was with that Sports on one side, and with Dieron on the other side, and it was Chris Stoichkov and Andres Vaca. So I got to like chat with them while we waited. And then after that, just recognizing the faces and talking to them. Went back inside. Watch the draw in the media center because I didn't have a seat inside the main room.
The white luxury chairs. You didn't have.
Not even the back chair that Wiso was talking about. I watched it through a screen. But before the draw is over, I need to move to where everybody from the delegation is gonna come out, so then I can interview them again. So, and this happens to me even on games. Like people sometimes think that it's great to go watch the World Cup game. I've never watched the last 15 minutes of any game I ever broadcasted because I have to go downstairs to do my interviews. Like a quick story too, when Argentina qualified for the second round in Russia, that goal that Marcos Rojo scored against Nigeria, the header, I didn't watch the goal. My memory from that, it's the press guy running in and hugging me, and it's like, we made it, and that's it.
Like, yeah, well, so it's not all this, like, you know, people think that's fam and glam. I mean, there's work. You guys are working, man. You guys are doing your thing, and you know, there's a lot of cool stuff to get to see, but also, again, you know, sometimes you have to miss out on those opportunities, unfortunately.
Yeah.
If you want to get like a good like spot in like mix zones, if you're impressed, and when I've done it, and you have to leave like 10 minutes early so you can get a good spot, and then you don't know what happens, or you're writing a story and you're like, okay, I gotta, or something, a late goal, you're like, oh no, now I gotta change everything about my story. So yeah, I definitely know Carlos is
luckily, usually there's a screen there so you can watch the end. So at least you get to watch, what's happening. You just lose the vantage point or whatever you were before.
The live, yeah. So now walk me through when the actual pick happened, right? So, you know, Mexico was drawn in Group C with, of course, now we know Argentina, Saudi Arabia, and Poland. Tell me about your reactions when that, you know, when it was actually drawn. Did you have that feeling like, oh, it's coming? Or was it like, oh my gosh, what happened? I mean, just walk me through that, especially Wiso, you were there, and of course, Carlos, from your vantage point.
On my end, it was, well, we knew everybody from Group A, from the pot A, right? From the first pot, which is all the world powers in Qatar, right? Because of the FIFA ranking. So when they put those together, I'm like, okay, England, Argentina, France, cool. And I believe, in group, when Argentina was good, and then it's like, okay, here's the first team that's going to face, you know, that's going to be in that group. And I'm like, please don't let it be Mexico. Please don't let it be me. If it was somebody that was trying to, even though I knew we were going to get either Portugal, Brazil, Belgium, Spain, France, England, I'm like, just let's not play Argentina. We always play them. They always kick our butt. And I was like, and I remember recording it. I'm like, no. And yeah, we got Argentina. After that, then it was Poland. So right there, I'm like, we have to be in the pot C. Poland and Serbia were probably I think Japan were the ones you were trying to avoid. I'm like, all right, we got Argentina. I'm like, all right, maybe we get an easy, by saying easy, a team that, you know, isn't highly ranked. I'm like, I hope it's not Poland or Serbia or Japan. And then we got Poland. And I'm like, man, watch us get another hard in pot 4, which I think was Senegal, Cameroon was there, Ghana was there. I'm like, those are tough teams. And then, you know, Saudi Arabia came out, okay, an easier team that we should be able to beat, no disrespect. But overall, you know, I was kind of like, man, Poland, Argentina, Mexico in the very first one, not knowing the other one, I was a little worried. I think we came out okay. I think, you know, like every other World Cup, you know, we do have a tough road, but at the same time, Mexico rose. So
we pull it off somehow, right?
We'll see what happens. Hopefully.
To me, the same thing. The thing that I always look at when Mexico gets drawn on any group on any of the World Cups, it's always who we're gonna face if we make it. And we end up playing the group of France, and I'm like, that's to me that's the biggest problem that we've had, because by not being the first seed, it doesn't matter who you get. I mean, I know it's a non-winnable game, but it's always the same thing. And since I've remembered, maybe 1998, I was not such aware because I was not so in tune with like how powerhouses work or how things were. But beginning 2002, that group, if you guys remember, we got Croatia, who was the runner-up or the third place from 1998. We got Ecuador, and then we got Italy. Ecuador had just qualified second in South America, just behind Argentina, because Brazil actually got down a little bit, or Ecuador was third. I think it was kind of like the same. It was Argentina was supposed to win the World Cup, and they ended up getting out in the first round. Then you have Ecuador, right? And Ecuador. Yeah, then Ecuador was a really tough team, and and we had to play them, and then we tie Italy. So I've never been. The same thing happened in 2018. Like we were gonna play in 2014. We played Brazil in Brazil, and we tied them. Last World Cup, we were supposed to be obliterated by Germany, and we ended up winning that game. So the first round is never a thing. Like we could easily tie Argentina or even lose to them. Like 2010, we had South Africa, France, and Uruguay. Uruguay was coming a lot better to that World Cup than France was, and Uruguay beat us. And we still made it to the second round. But to me, the problem that Mexico always has, it's the second round. If you're first or second, you always end up playing a superpower. Like, at least since I remember, since 1994, we've never got a second round where you're like, oh, we're playing Ukraine. We're playing Switzerland. We might be able, we don't even get that. It's like, Argentina, Germany, Brazil, and now it's going to be France. Like, if we make it, we're going to get France. So,
wow. G, how about
maybe with the World Cup curse, they won't make it out of the first round. France doesn't make it, but they're going to make it out of the first round.
Oh my God, no.
It's true. Well, Germany, everybody thought Germany could, there is the World Cup curse. As soon as you
never
can't get out of the first group, you
know.
never know.
G, what
I'm the same with Carlos. I looked at it. Everyone's going, okay, what group is it? Oh, D, that's France. Not only do we get that, there goes the round of 16 exit. So we need to be first in the group. If you remember 2014, Costa Rica was first in the group after having Uruguay, England, and Italy in the same group. They were first. Who did they face? They faced Greece.
Ukraine.
In the second,
Greece, you're right.
Greece in the second round, and then after that they faced Holanda in the
Netherlands, which would have been us.
They went to penalties. Yeah, which imagine that we would have been Mexico.
No era penal.
No era penal. If we would have won, anybody that says, "Oh, we could have gone Costa Rica," Costa Rica didn't lose to England. That was a very good.
I was actually gonna think that. I always thought, can you imagine you actually went past the Netherlands beating them, and then you get out through Costa Rica? I mean. I think the criticism would have been even horrible. Not in Costa Rica was an amazing team, but nobody was going to be like, yeah, Costa Rica was a great team. No, it was going to be like, it's a CONCACAF team. Why would they lose?
Wow.
Again, like in 2002.
Yeah. It's one of those things that we never know what's going to happen. Again, we can predict and analyze, as we know, like in any sports, we can be surprised. It could be a Cinderella story in the making somewhere.
I feel like I'm already expecting Mexico to lose against France.
Well, that's the way you. Why get your hopes up high and then get crushed, right? Let's just kind of start low and see what happens.
If we somehow get first group, then we get Denmark, which is good. They're good. Denmark has a good team, right?
So how do you think we ended up though compared to let's say Canada and the US? So let me start with G. What do you think? How do we compare to the other CONCACAF teams? So Canada has Belgium, Morocco, Croatia, and then you have the US that has England, Ireland, and of course to be determined. Did we end up like the worst teams out of the three? You think? What do you think?
I don't think so. And I talked about this in the last podcast. I thought that it was okay. When I saw Argentina, I was like, oh man, okay. But then I was like, okay, it's not that bad. But then when I start reading a lot of tweets and comments about it and what Carlos said right now, but if we go to the second round, we're heading to France. So I was like, okay, that's it. So that's just me. But no, I don't think we're going to be the worst team in CONCACAF. I don't think so.
Yeah.
Do you?
I don't know. What do you guys think out of the other three? Because I think
who has it harder. Your question is who has it harder?
When the USA got England, I was like,
I still see the US getting out of that group though. It all depends on how Wales or the Ukraine or Scotland. Most likely it's going to be Wales. Mm-hmm. I think Wales and the US, and they played recently on a friendly. I think they tied 1-1. Or the US lost 1-0. It was very, very, very tight. Iran is a team that is very solid on the Confederation, but is usually not a powerhouse in World Cups. And there, even though there's that political storyline usually when the US plays Iran, and it's not the first time they play each other. I think they played each other in 1998, if I'm not mistaken. So I see the US getting out of that group. To me, England is one of the favorites. I think out of the four semifinalists from last World Cup, besides Croatia, because I don't see them as solid as they were last time, England, Belgium, and France, to me, are the top teams to win the World Cup. They still have their golden generations. They have a really young team. To me, they're the three favorites. And you can add Brazil to that pot if Brazil can continue doing what they did in the qualifiers. So whoever's in that realm of those four teams is actually, in a pretty bad shape.
If they come out in second, then they're gonna get the number one in Group A, right?
Which, again, to me, could be Netherlands, could be Senegal. I don't think people should sleep on Senegal. There could be Senegal, Ecuador. It could be Senegal, Netherlands. It could be Netherlands, Senegal. I think of that group, out of the three that are there between the South American, the African team, and the European, they're very solid teams. And there could be a surprise on who ends up coming on top, because the Netherlands, especially right now that Louis van Gaal, is having health problems. Like there's things that get thrown in the mix that may be a little hard for them. So the US is in a good shape in that sense. But the thing is that they're going to have a very competitive round of 16, and to me that's where they could just potentially go out at the same time as we do, or their golden generation clicks and they do it. I just don't think they have experience to actually face those games, and we see it with Mexico, and it goes from Greg Berhalter to the team down. Yeah. Sometimes he doesn't plan those games properly, and the games slip away from him. That's how he lost in Panama. That's how he lost against Costa Rica. So I don't see the U.S. as powerful and to be able to do it, but not as. Also, they will be out of that group unless.
The only highlight that the U.S. during the elimination is that they beat Mexico, but after that, they really didn't. They kept struggling against everybody else, right? So I don't see that. Now Canada was a surprise, but they got a hard time, and with Spain, Belgium, Germany. I think we're gonna either end up about the same, or I think we'll probably end up with the better results.
However, in Canada, I will feel like Canada is one of those candidates to be a Cinderella story. Not because they will go really deep or go to the world, like all the way to the final, but that team plays very well. I think it's understated.
The most consistent, yeah.
I think it's understated how well they're playing. They're getting because remember that they actually got to the end of the qualifiers without Alphonso Davies on the field.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And he's back. He started with Bayern yesterday. He didn't do so well. Obviously, he's coming back from that horrible COVID problem that's causing him heart problems, but I think it's a very understated team, and they could be trouble for whoever they face in the round 16. And if all things click, because that team is clicking right now, even though it's 7 months away, they could make it at least to the quarterfinals.
They're not going to make it. I have a whole thing with Canadian fans for the whole year. Like, I'm just going to continue. They're not going to make it.
To me, the only thing that in those conversations that Wiso has with the Canadian fans, it's that I don't think they don't have a system in place for these to repeat. Yeah. They're finding a generation of players that is clicking, and that's great, and they have a great team. But Canada doesn't have a pathway for them to keep on growing to this, and that's something that they're not noticing. I feel they're falling asleep on that. So they're going to have a really good success, and kind of the same thing happened in the U.S. The U.S. had a fantastic team in 2002. That's why we lost to them. And because that team actually beat Portugal, and Portugal was one of the favorites in 2002. That team was destined to play really well. We slept on them because we thought that, we beat them in qualifiers and whatever, and we let them cruise past us. And then they actually gave Germany a lot of problems. But that generation, again, some of the players were aging, and when they got to 2006, they didn't have a pathway, and they crashed out on the group stage. So that's what I feel like could happen to Canada.
The future of Canada, yeah. So let's go ahead and wrap up that conversation. And, let's talk about another draw that kind of just got overshadowed by the last draw that nobody even talking about, the Nations League draw. This is hard for Mexico. I don't see them going on top of this one. I think this is going to be a struggle.
Why do we even play Nations League? Whose idea was this?
And I like how they were drew within like less than a week apart. Like, it was like, oh, okay, great.
I didn't look at it.
All right, let's move on.
Do we know when they're gonna? I know it's in June, but are they playing in Mexico, Carlos? Like I was coming back. Like, I don't know yet. It's the U.S. games only. We'll see.
I don't know how I need to go do the research on how the tournament is going to be played out.
This is not an agenda, Z. You did not put this in the agenda that you sent us, so we can.
I know it. Because it reflects reality. Nobody's talking about it. Nobody really it's being undershadowed.
Hey. The U.S. really wants to win this because they called it to another trophy in a tournament that they won over us, so they're going to win. But I hear we might take a young team to the Nations League. So
which we typically do. We typically do that.
I actually think that's a great idea. I mean, regardless, the fact that you can, because when you have these games with pressure, because a lot of people talk about like how Tata is not looking towards the future when they don't have Acevedo on the team or they don't have certain like younger players on the team. Tata is not there for that. Let's make that very clear. A coach that has a 4-year project and has to focus on the World Cup can be thinking of what's going to happen 4 years from now in the next World Cup. Because if he doesn't make it to the past the round 16, he's going to get out. And whoever comes in, then what future he was building? The new coach is going to come and select different players because it's his different style and he has a different way of seeing things. So to me, this is a part where you can actually start seeing which players can make it. And there's a base where whoever comes in after can be like, well, I saw the games from the Nations League and I saw this guy and I saw this guy and said, this guy actually, did it very well. This one didn't. This one fell under the pressure. And to me, that's how you actually start kind of building towards the future, just giving them minutes to see how they do it. But again, at the end of the day, the Tata era after World Cup, whatever happens with him, if he renews for another 4 years, then there's there could be a discourse on how that can actually happen. Most likely it won't, regardless.
Yeah, it doesn't look good right now. Yeah.
Regardless, unless he wins the World Cup, there's no way they're gonna let him stay. Yeah. And whoever comes next is gonna do his own group and his own list, and we're gonna start saying why is he that guy there and why he didn't take this guy. It's the same thing as always.
Yep. So, all right. Well, again, something that we can talk about down, as it gets closer to that. But again, a draw that got overshadowed that nobody really talked about. But all right, so let's talk about the upcoming game. We got a good list of upcoming games. More information will be coming our way. We know again the next game for Mexico will be in Orlando versus Guatemala, April 27th. They'll be here before you know it. If you haven't already, our tickets are on our site. Go ahead and put in for it, fill out the information. Links and everything are there. Anything else that we can expect for this game, Wiso, that we need to know about?
No, I mean, it comes as one of the games, obviously, in the U.S. as part of the Sum contract. And, especially now that it's now 7 months, those games are going to be really important. So this one just has been scheduled. And, yeah, like people in Orlando, Orlando's kind of like a different type for all those fans that go. Sometimes when they do games, it gets sold out. Sometimes it doesn't. But what people are saying is that there's going to be a lot of people in Guatemala. So we might be we might not be the what am I taking?
No seremos locales.
Yes, that's it. Like we were against El Salvador on the second game at the Gold Cup. So if you're planning to go Orlando, you can get tickets. I think the tickets are fairly cheap. I believe. I think they're like $50 or $60 compared to the 100 or 120 sometimes go. And then on the 12th, I'll be in Dallas because they're announcing all the games and for the whole year with the tour that they have, the Mex tour. So I think Ecuador's already been thrown out there. I know there was a game against Argentina. Brazil's been thrown out there. So it should be a lot of CONMEBOL teams and a lot of teams that are in the World Cup because they're going to want to play each other before. There was a rumor, obviously, Argentina. When we face Argentina, obviously they're not going to play Argentina anymore. So look out on the 12th. For all of you guys that are in Dallas that are that are there from the Dallas chapter, I'll be seeing you guys, and then hopefully we can go to this cool event that they're gonna have. I believe there's gonna be I believe there's gonna be a DJ and a band and all this, and they're gonna be trying to make a pretty cool thing. So I'll be there.
Nice. So keep an eye out for that date. Then on the 12th of May is when we're gonna get the official list, stadiums, opponents, and stuff like that. So put that on your calendar. All right. Well, it's time to wrap up. And again, we got to wrap up with our post of the week. Of course, I cheated a little bit. My post is like the post of the month. But again, I call this
the post of the week.
All right. Here we go.
Cool freaking. This is the production value, and this is awesome.
I mean,
the next soccer show has to look like this. Like,
I know.
Can you switch my voice to that from now on, please?
You're putting us to shame over here. We need a good
all right, here we go.
I want to talk like that forever.
I was between that one or the other one, but it sounded more like a
my post of the week.
Here we go. All right. So my post is this one. This is when we were after Mexico City. There was the article, or there was a post by Landon Donovan that went viral saying, basically just calling out, el Estadio Azteca, saying, what the hell? What happened to the Estadio Azteca? When I played against the Mexico team in Estadio Azteca, it was a true home. We had, there was music. I mean, it just felt like there was some friction or something there. When I went and saw the Mexico-US game, it felt like I was in an NFL game. There was YMCA. There was, some, just American. I mean, it was embarrassing, dude, to be honest with you. And there was times that I was looking at G going, "What the hell?"
Yeah, I was like, really?
So
they even played the Beach Boys when we were doing like the wave, and I was like, what?
I feel like there's two sides of like U.S. journalism and talking about the Azteca. One, this dirty smoke, batteries, pee driven, like this horrible environment. And then when it's not like that, oh, it's not, we don't have, it's now it's this, we don't even, we don't fear the Aztec anymore. It's like both sides of it. And even when that article came out, like Donovan's like, yeah, I feel like he's wanting all that because he complained about the smog, about the oxygen, that he had to take when Efrain Juarez like ran past him or whatever. But, especially with this game, I feel like they put it together because of COVID. It wasn't full. Yes, no pesa, but I feel like there's like two extremes sometimes.
I have. Here, let me, Carlos, maybe you can confirm this, or maybe later on. But I also understand that the Cardinals were out there that weekend, flew out there because I saw that they were because of the NFL game that they're going to be having this upcoming year. So I'm thinking, did they try to conform to the Cardinals and the NFL saying, "Hey, look we can make this"?
They already have it.
Before, but I was just like, was there a correlation there, or maybe I'm just kind of overthinking it?
No. Well, the game, the official statement on who's going to be playing the Arizona Cardinals comes out on May. It will be right after the draft. I mean, you've heard it everywhere. The Niners want to be that team. We'll see if the league would actually approve that.
Yes.
The problem for me with that game is that most likely the date of that game is the start of the World Cup.
World Cup, right? Yeah.
November 21st is probably the date that they're gonna pick. So Sunday. It will be a Monday Night Football, which technically it isn't because they want to fill. Their main focus is to fill up the stadium. That's what they want. If they're thinking about like television in Mexico and whatever, then that's a whole different conversation. But the main thing is we're gonna put the game. We're gonna put it. It's gonna be sold out, and they're expecting that. So, but I don't think NFL has anything to do with that. There's a couple of things that changed drastically. One is also how our team is conformed. When in the 90s, the early 2000s, most of our players didn't play in Europe. And when you have players who played in America, Cruz Azul, Pumas, and they were home and they're playing in Azteca, they made a big difference because they would Efrain Juarez, who's at that point was one of the best players in Mexico City, was able to fly past Landon Donovan because he played in that smog and in that altitude all the time. When you have all these big trips from the players, the European players, taking 17 hours to get to Mexico City, if you put the game at 3 p.m., it's going to affect just as bad as it affects the US. It's going to affect the Mexican players. So, and also FIFA put a rule that I don't know if a lot of people know this, but FIFA actually put a rule that if there's a certain weather, like you can't play in the altitude. They switched all those games away because they took that away from Bolivia. Brazil is not able to use the stadium that was 4,000 meters over sea level. They had to scratch that out and move to the Maracanãs and the ones on the beach. So FIFA put a rule that in order to keep the players healthy, you try to avoid as much of things that could be potentially bad for them. Funny enough, that's only with the heat and the altitude. Yeah, but they never said anything about the cold. I think because of what happened this past year, FIFA might start looking into that because they don't let the Europeans do that. Like Europeans don't play in the cold. They don't do that themselves. So FIFA might look at it and say, hey, listen, it's the same way. If the temperature is like 15 degrees, 13 degrees, you can't put the game there. Put it somewhere that it's like mild. Because the whole idea is that you see the best match that you can have, and it has to be as evenly matched as you can. We're used to having that, like, oh, I want to have a home advantage, but it's just not. Then also how things have changed with the national team and like the kind of people who go to the stadium and how they get behind the team. To me, that's where it doesn't, where it doesn't really make a difference because at the end of the day, things like the weather and that, you can't control it. And besides the fact that you can put the game at midday like they used to, but that's always now with the rules you can't do it, and it will be counterproductive to your own team. Like it's just like it's just gonna be like that.
Even then, when people are saying, "Oh, we used to play at 12 o'clock," that game that everyone remembers in 2009 was a Sunday. And because the FIFA date, like, it's not like Mexico goes, oh, by the way, we're getting the US, we're going to play at 12. You can't play because the FIFA was the game was on a Wednesday. You can't have it at 12 so people don't go to work. What? And at the same time, remember, all those games are on the same time. Who dictates what time they're going to be is the federation.
CONCACAF.
Yeah, CONCACAF. You're going to be at 3, you're going to be at 4, you're going to be at 5, you're going to be at 6 because of TV ratings. So when everyone says Mexico used to have an advantage because we used to play the games at 12, that was one time, 2009, and it happened to be on a Sunday, and everybody played at 12 because it was on a Sunday game.
Stars align.
So I don't think people understand that. They're like, oh, the Azteca pesaba because of those conditions before. We can't have that now. Now, that being said, they could do a lot better on production, turning off the lights and having us do the cell phones, instead Cielito Lindo on the... If we start playing well, the crowd's going to dictate how we're going to play. And it's, I was there 4 years ago when Mexico played against Costa Rica, which is a full stadium, right? And it sounded awesome, right? And it was, the atmosphere was there. It's just that we've taken it back. COVID, it wasn't a full stadium. We barely got tickets like 2 weeks in advance. So, yeah.
And the fans are not happy with that as well.
They're saying paretata, no está chicharito.
So, all right, let's go on. Here's Wiso's. Tell us about you.
Yes, yeah. I mean,
do you hate Mexicans? Are you a racist? Do you hate Mexicans?
You ask like what's regardless if it's good or bad. Obviously, this is going around. This stupid politician J.D. Vance used. This is how his political campaign starts. Are you a racist? Do you hate Mexicans? And then it goes off. That's what people are calling us when we wanted to Trump to build a wall. Obviously, this guy's using a topic that Trump did 5-6 years ago. Sorry to get political, but using are you a racist? Do you hate Mexicans? And that's kind of going around. It's kind of going viral. People are using it, and I was laughing really hard when Ana Gallego said, when the hotel doesn't have Telemundo.
Dude, that's happened to me before and it's like usually in states where again it's the south or the east. I'm like trying to find the game in Telemundo or something, and it doesn't come up. I'm like, what the heck? They don't have that.
It's funny because it's like, are you a racist? Do you hate Mexicans? And it's funny that Carlos is on this broadcast because he's in Telemundo. So I thought it was fitting.
I have no comments on the campaign, but there's always an answer because Telemundo has the app, so you can always watch us in the app.
Nice plug-in. There you go. And
if you're using that, as a meme, everyone's using it right now. Yeah. So it's pretty funny, and I can't believe some stupid politician did that.
All right, and we're gonna end up with G, and that was why I made the baby noise because it's very cute, typical G fashion. This is her
made me talk like that. Give me that voice to introduce this. What? That's just you. So, how do you say the name of the mascot?
Laib.
Like okay. Layun, but like Layun, but Laib.
Okay, I've seen so many mixed opinions about it, but I love it. I am a strong believer of... What?
Everybody likes it, right?
No. They say it looks like Casper. It looks like a cartoon. But I love it. I'm a huge believer in less is more, and I think it's brilliant. It's beautiful. And that, when you see all the other mascots, when I saw Piqué and Juanito, I was like crying literally. So I really like it, and this is my tweet of the week.
I like it. I thought it was pretty cool.
So I'm going to ask, if somebody goes to the World Cup, I need one of those, please.
He needs a Laib.
I need one, yeah.
They're not real. Like, he's not real.
She wants the real one.
Like, there's not a flying, like...
Thank you.
Did you say a Laib when you were out there?
Okay, so...
I actually didn't. I'm actually wondering how they're gonna... Because now that Wiso said it, I want to
be like a guy.
No, it's actually a real question because now that Gabby brought it up and Wiso brought it up, I want to see how it's implemented on the stadiums. If it's
Like
going to stay as
mascot.
if it's going to stay as a virtual thing, because I think part of the enchantment of Laif is the fact that he floats, right?
Como un holograma.
Yeah,
right?
But that's what I'm saying. If they don't do it like that, I doubt you'll see something with feet like walking.
Va a ser una mantarraya, no? It's like they have like an actual animal, like, or maybe it's gonna be like guys in sticks. Like I don't know. But yeah, that's actually a good question.
All right, but I'm with Gabby. I think it's a good concept. It's very culturally relevant to them. It's I think it's a cool execution, and I think even the people say like, oh, it's Casper. I feel pretty. People like Casper, right?
Yeah,
I like that. It's a good reference. Yeah, exactly.
Friendly ghost. Come on, you know.
But
I thought it was like a ray, like what is it called? A
Mantarraya,
stingray.
like
a stingray.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, guys, I mean, dude, this conversation was amazing. Once again, my friends, thank you for joining us. You know, we look forward to more stories and more things coming as we get closer to the World Cup. You know, again, more content coming your way. It's going to be a lot of things to discuss. So, again, just want to thank you for your time. Carlos, you know, just want to close us out. Any final takes? Anything you want to close us out with on your end? Anything you want to close us out with?
No, like I said, I expect a very interesting World Cup for all the reasons that I said at the beginning. I think it's going to be one of the best World Cups on the field that we've seen in a very, very long time. Depends on what side you're on. It might be fortunate or unfortunate. It's the last World Cup we're going to see with 32 teams. It will be definitely expanded for the next one. But I think overall, as a product and the things that we can expect from it, it should be really exciting. And then obviously us as fans of Mexico just hope to have, you know, a good showing. And I am one of those believers that is like, you have to play those powerhouses at some point if you want to make it, right?
Yep.
Obviously I would like the same, like it's a lie if you say you wouldn't like something that it's more accessible or closer to your level, because you know right now you're not, you know, at France caliber, specifically France. When you think that they have Mbappe and Benzema, that's it. You don't have to even think about the rest of the team. But you have to play them, and if you actually want to make history, you have to beat those teams. So to me, just the fact that you get to watch your country play against a team like that, and if you can have a good game, that I can live with that.
Yep, thank you. I mean, you make a good point. All right, Wiso, what do you have for us? Close us out.
To me, I go back to the fans, how we have been so crazy and so angry at our Mexico and how badly they've been playing. But as soon as the World Cup draw, we're like, we're going to make it out of the group. Like, we already forgot how we could not score in 3 games, how barely our tridente is not working, how we've seen Mexico really play really bad. But then the World Cup fever starts and you go, Mexico's going to make it. And you know what? They might shock Argentina. And then, yeah, we got France. So I'm saying all that is that World Cup fever has started. You're starting to see the mascot. You're starting to see the stadiums. And, you know, those ever since you were little, you know, you're getting excited. Panini was announced today. You're going to start getting the book. And it's those things that regardless how horrible your team is playing, you start hoping, you start getting ready for it. If you're traveling, you're going to start the headaches of trying to find tickets. It's here. And, you know, if any questions that you have about travels, let me know. I'll try to answer as much as I can. And I want to thank all of you guys for having us. But, you know, I'm finally there. Like, it's a World Cup year. And even though we have 7 months, it feels like it's just around the corner.
Yep. And it is. I mean, time flies, right? So, G, what about you? What do you got?
Pues eso, I'm with Carlos. I have hope. I always try to be like the optimistic. I mean, even though I'm mostly angry at Mexico, those recent matches in El Azteca, you know, see, like we were like, ugh. But I have hope. I was one of those people that we can beat Germany. We can. And everybody was like, hell no. And we did. So I'm trying to stay optimistic. I know it's going to be an amazing World Cup. I have hope in the boys. I hope they can make a good job in Qatar. And yeah, I'm excited for all the content we're going to have from now on, from Wiso, from Carlos, and from everybody that's involved in the World Cup process, and with Mexico especially, and with all the games that are coming up. So yeah, very excited. And thank you both for being here.
Excellent. All right. Well, with that, thank you once again from, you know, the Bay Area to the hot, always hot Arizona and Mexico City, or not Mexico City. Now, you know, I mean,
where do I live? See,
I always forget where she lives. Playa de Carmen. I don't know. Where do you...
Campeche.
G, yes. Hasta luego.
Enjoy.
Join us next week as we do.
Host of the week.
Voy a demostrar. Don Vicente, un chingón para cantar. Jimmy humilde, que historia para contar. Y hay un chingo de estrellas difícil para terminar. Y la banda norteño, nos enfiestamos. Son las 3 de la mañana y no paramos. La cerveza en la hielera la enfriamos. Y aunque lleguen los azules, nosotros no nos cansamos.